Hello, everyone. My guest today is Philippe. He's building a great tool called missabout.com. It's a shared inbox and chat SaaS tool. Are you ready to take us to the top?
Sorry?
Are you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, of course.
Very good. Well, hey, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit. So Missive App playing in a competitive space, shared inbox and team chat. When did you launch the business?
We actually started working on the project in 2014, but it was mostly as like a tool for ourselves, building another previous startup we had started. And we launched it in 2015 as a free product, mostly just to test the ground. And then a year later, in 2016, we launched the first paid version.
And so how did you, the starting years for any founder, paying yourself is difficult. So what did you do between 2015, the first line of code, or 2014, and the paid launch in 2016? How'd you pay yourself?
Well, I think that's the interesting part of our own story is that I met my co-founder at a co-working space that I created in Quebec City in 2012. And so my co-founder were the absolutely best developer I knew at the time, designer at the time, and I knew I wanted to work with them, right? At the co-working space, I was actually making money from a game portal I created when I was a teen, a French game portal I created when I was a teen. And, just like ramen profitable money, like a few Ks a year, just being able to pay the apartment and the food. And I lived basically with that much money for 10 years, really student salary, and really start to work on many different projects. And the first one I created was a game jam festival. So I wanted to be a game developer at that time. Okay, so I decided to create a game jam. So the idea was
try and move your mic so that it's not rubbing against your shirt. We're getting audio feedback.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You want to start it over?
So no, you're good. Keep going. No, keep going.
Okay, perfect.
Don't rub against it. Game developer.
Yeah, game developer. So I created a game festival actually. Okay, so the idea was I wanted to meet other game developers. And so I went to the mayor, told him about the idea, thought it was a great idea, decided to fund the project. So we made that great festival for 5 years, okay? And making no money whatsoever, but just having fun. The initial reason I created that festival was just to meet developers. But at the end of the day, it was mostly just organizing the festival and never really meeting anyone. And but the one thing that festival teach me is not the one thing that the festival teach me, but hey, sorry, I just want to start over. It's really do you mind
No. Listen, it's a conversation, man. You don't need to be nervous. We don't need to start over. I mean, you have a game festival. The game festival revenue is basically what enabled you and your co-founder to have a little cash runway to build Missive App those first couple of years. Is that right?
Okay, it's more complex than that. Okay, so I'll put pretty simply. Okay, so when I was a teen, I created a game portal, right? So just with ads, I was able to kind of pay myself student salary for many years.
Great.
Did my university study in business management. Being able to pay myself. I was not a programmer whatsoever. It was just technology, right? So I had that game portal, and after university, I was I want to be a game developer actually. So I started kind of learning to code myself, still being able to pay myself to live basically from the game portal I had created, a French game portal.
Understood.
And so I started that festival to meet other like-minded developers, right? Because I wasn't in any community whatsoever. So I created that festival, and it really worked, right? It became a music festival. It was held outside, many thousand visitors, music. And so the idea was people had 48 hours to create a game, right? And there was price, and it was really successful, right? But at the end of the day, I met no one because I was just organizing the thing. But I still learned to code and had different projects on the side. And after that project, I said, well, I'm not really into game actually. I think I would just want to go back to, create a web business. So at that point I thought what problem did I face while organizing that game festival? One of them was like printing the name badges before the event, right? So like when people arrive at the event, you just want to end like the name badge so people know like, are you from a game company, or are you a press VIP or a participant or whatnot. And so it just sucked like the day before to just like go on Excel, do a mail merge and print those badges. So I'm like, just gonna create like a web tool to so organizer can actually import like an Excel spreadsheet, and then we just like print the badges for them and ship them, right? So that was basically the idea. So that's where in my co-working space that I also started by the side, I actually met my co-founder and decided to work on that idea with them, right? And
Phil, did you guys decide to split the company 50-50 early on?
No, so the company was 50 me, 50 them, because I had like kind of, bootstrap the product.
It was split 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And just because, again, I want to get as much of your missive story in as possible, and it's a quick show, so I don't mean to cut you off, but let's jump into missive. So you start working, you pivot from this spreadsheet tool for name badges. I imagine that, Matt, you then pivot into missive app from that. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So Conference Fetch was successful. Okay, so we launched it. Eventbrite wrote to us, like they saw we were paying their API, and they said, "Oh, are you creating a tool to print badges?" We said yes, and they say, "Oh my god, like it's one of the things that people have a lot of problem doing when they use Eventbrite for their conference." And so they featured us, and it was really successful, right? So I applied to Y Combinator, like Paul Graham saw the revenue of the first few weeks, said, "Oh, come on, we want to interview you." And as you can see in the interview, we were quite bad, so they didn't take us at Y Combinator, but the product keep on being successful, making more money. And as a small team, we had trouble like doing customer support.
Phil, what were you making? Would you remember first year revenue in 2016?
So Conference Batch was a bit earlier, 2013.
20. Okay. For missive, so I want to get into the missive story here, as I want to sort of push past the pre-missive. So the event.
Okay, first year of missive was like I don't know, not a lot of money. Like I think like $3,000 for the whole year.
Okay, and how did you get your first 10 customers? Do you remember?
Early tech. So we post like to Product Hunt and kind of cold reach like people we admire that we thought like could have a use for the product. Like the Stripe people, I'd kind of write a paper about how they collaborate around email and how they were full transparent around their own internal communication. And that was kind of one of the idea behind Missive, is the ability to share the email easily with the people in your company. So we reached out to people at Twitter, over on Twitter, and launched on Product Hunt. And those were the earlier user. Most of those earlier users were excited by the product, but not really willing to pay for it because it was really early stage, and we were missing a lot of the things now that our customer kind of are willing to pay for.
And fast forward to today, those are your first 10, 20 customers. How many customers are you serving today?
I think we're around like 2,000 businesses using Missive. 2,000, yeah.
That's great. And help us understand how you decide to price this. Again, very competitive space. What's the average price look like?
So right now, so you pay per seat. So if you're a company of 10, you're going to pay 10 seat. And right now it's $15 per seat, US dollars for a seat. And that's full featured. So you get everything in the product for $15. We kind of have one at 10, but it's way less popular. And so $15 in our space is really low compared to other offering.
How many seats, when a company pays you, are they usually paying on average like for one seat or like 1,000 seats? What's sort of the sweet spot team size?
5 seats. Okay. Yeah.
5 seats.
So it's really SMB, like small and medium businesses using the product.
Yeah. So each one 5 times 15, each one's is paying something like $75, $100 a month, something like that.
Exactly.
And can I take 75 a month times your 2,000 customers? What's that for? Yeah, like 150,000 a month, something like that.
It's a bit less. So I'd say right now, so we crossed like the 1 million ARR like 2 months ago, and yeah, so that was good.
Congratulations!
Thanks.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And where were you if you crossed that a month, 2 months ago? Where were you a year ago in terms of monthly recurring revenue?
I'd say half of that.
So healthy growth. Where's all this growth coming from? It's still not, is it still product hunt launches, or where's the growth coming from?
I mean, like we're the anti-story of like startups. We never really invest our time in marketing. We just like to build a product and like email with our customers. That's really much like the only thing we do. Like everything like people say don't do, we only do, right? So like the paid customer, most of them right now, I would say, are either they find us through Google, like alternative to well-known funded product, they will find us, or it's word of mouth. So a lot of like realtor going to use Missive. So like one say to another one, hey, I use that product with my team, you should try it. And then so word of mouth is also a big factor in our growth.
And have you bootstrapped or raised?
It's bootstrap. Okay. But are you the long introduction to that thing is that it's actually bootstrapped from another product that we launched earlier called Conference Badge, right? That we were running, and that we start Missive. Actually, we start building the product Missive to help us with the communication in the support at Conference Badge.
So is it a blessing or a curse that you didn't get into YC a couple of years ago?
I don't know. I don't think I have, I don't think I'm the best person to raise money, right? So I'm definitely fine with where we are.
Talk to me more about your team today. What kinds of people do you have around you?
So so I have two co-founders. Initially, we were 4 co-founders. One left 3 years ago now. So now we are 3 co-founders plus 1 employee. So one of my co-founders is a CTO, so it's going to like manage servers and it's going to do code review. And Etienne is front-end developer / designer, so it's going to build like the front end, and I'm going to do kind of all of those things. So usually I work on new features, and Raphael's going to take over code review, and then Etienne's going to take over and make sure everything is fine, and then we're going to ship things.
This is a great story. 4 people. I love the small SWAT team. You only had 4 people when you broke $1 million run rate. That breaks some other bootstrap stories like Lemlist, who had 6 people when they broke $1 million run rate. I love small teams that can go from 0 to 1 million very quickly. So congratulations.
Thanks. It's all about being small. It's about being more agile to me. We really don't lose time. And my wife always told me like I would never work with a team like you because you never talk to each other. Like we actually don't. We're always like so focused. We all know what we want to do. It's a few like text chat comments in the day, but the rest of the day is just focused on our work. It's mostly customer support and product development, bugs, and that's it. The rest is just like it's such a big space that even if it's just word of mouth and with just a small team, that it's really working out actually, because with the word of mouth, it sustained our growth, and we're just 4 guys. And
it makes good sense. Now, when people start using you, do they stick? What's your churn look like?
You can help me here. I don't know if we have a good one. I think it's like if I look at Stripe, because I don't know like the Stripe dashboard, it's around like it depends. It varies, but it's between 3 to 4%
per month.
Per Stripe dashboard. So is it per month or per year? I don't know.
Okay. So you're not sure if your churn is 3% a month or 36% for the year.
Exactly. Like I said, we do not focus on any of those things. We only focus on customer support.
Yeah. But you care. The lagging indicator of great customer support and customer love is, do they stick with you? So you can still focus on customers loving you, and the way you measure that is an NPS score or churn, right? How do you measure if you're doing a good job there?
We don't look at data. Actually, that's the simple, strangest answer I can, like honest answer. It's like we don't really look at data. It's just the feeling of our customer. And I know churn is low. And look, when you're a company like us, the product is email. Everyone can use email. So there's a lot of people trying the product. And some of those will churn, and that's a good thing, right? Because we cannot be a solution for everyone. So if I only look at churn, it's not really the real picture, because the one people I want to serve, if those people do not churn, and that's you have through conversation, right? Like I would say even 6 months ago, I've said like, I'm not sure I'm even product fit, right? I'm not even sure. Like right now, we're starting to feel we're at that point, because the conversation we have, like the range of people that are really, really satisfied and loving it is larger. Like I would say like a year ago, it was like, I'm not sure. Like some really love us, some hate us, right?
Sure.
But right now, like that range has expanded. And I feel like the conversation I have is mostly like people really satisfied with it, as opposed to a year ago. And if I just look at the data, I never really feel that I could have a real definitive answer. It's like, oh, the churn rate, but I don't know, right? Actually, I don't know.
Yep. No, so sometimes if you're building something like you're building it, it's the best way for you to collect data is just have your ear on the ground and be talking to customers. And there's nothing wrong with that. Talk to me about, look, most SaaS companies are not profitable. They're spending way too much on CAC. They're losing money. Are you guys profitable?
Yeah. So we don't spend money on ads. So we only spend money on servers and like tools to help us manage.
What would you say your total expenses every month are?
So let's say without salary, like without this our own salary.
Do all in, including what you pay yourself.
I don't know. Well, I break it down because salary, let's say everything else except salary, I would say like 20Ks, mostly servers.
Yep.
And factor in our salary, like Quebec-based Canadian, like normal wage for a coder, a programmer.
So what are you guys, 30,000-40,000 bucks in headcount expenses per month?
Less than that.
Less than that. So as a founder, like I think this is an important question about sort of capital, right? Each month, if your all-in costs are something like, I'm making this up, 40 or 50,000 bucks, 20K of server plus your headcount, and you're doing 90,000 top line. That means you have like 40,000 of new cash hitting the bank every month. How do you decide what to do with that? Do you pay out dividends to your team? Do you reinvest in the product? What do you do?
Yeah, well, that's the good question. So at first, like that thing had grown, so it's not a question we had. Right now, obviously, like with the numbers we have, it started to be crazy to leave the money in the bank, right? So, well, first we decided to start paying ourselves, a more competitive wage. And we're starting to think about how to reinvest that in more growth. But right now, it's really pretty much just sitting in the bank.
Yeah. What would you value the business at today? If someone came to you and said, Phil, I want to buy the whole business for 10 million bucks, do you sell?
No, no, because we were approached 3 times, and by big, let's say unicorns and more. And so the 3 time was mostly for acquire, because I think what we built with a team of 4, even if we're like now we hit some really good milestone in revenue, but like 2-3 years ago, it was still really impressive. Just the fact that the product was completed and full featured a version on all platforms. So we were approached just to get acquired, and we always said no's. And in the offer,
what was the largest offer that you turned down?
It was equity, and equity, I don't know if it means much, but it was 30 millions in valuation from that business. But
you had to believe that the equity was
exactly, and I had to move into San Francisco. We had to all move.
If you got an offer of 10 million bucks, all cash up front, do you sell?
I don't think so.
Interesting. Very good. Okay. On that note, let's wrap up with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite book.
Rework.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I'd say Cheese and Fried for the last 3 days.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building Missive?
There's so many, but I'd say Stride.
Okay. And how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Sorry?
How many hours of sleep do you get?
Between 8 to 10.
Okay, that's great. And situation, married, single, kids?
I have 4 kids, married.
Wow, okay, 4 kids. And how old are you?
37.
37. Last question, Phil. What do you wish you knew when you were 20?
Take my time.
Guys, there you have it. Launched back in 2014 as a pivot out of a conference business into sort of a spreadsheet tool for name badges. Eventually, they launched Missive app, a tool that enables you to collaborate with your team. It's a team inbox and chat tool that allows you to really understand what's happening in your email inbox. They've bootstrapped their way to over $1 million run rate with just 4 people, turned down $30 million acquisition offers. We're rooting for you. Phil, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thanks. Bye. Cheers.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.